Hello, and welcome to another episode of SpindleTV Exclusive. I'll be your host this evening, Laney Shaughnessy, and joining me tonight is JR on camera. How you doing tonight, JR?
Good.
Good. Let me see here. Saw a few people popping in. We have Brooks Martin, Rod, Roger S, David, Keith. How y'all doing this evening? How y'all doing? Tonight, we are going to be talking epoxy, working with epoxy and about different epoxies, and then, creating a project that would complement epoxy. Now, me personally, this will be this particular project or a project or whatever will be my first time kind of like actually dealing with the medium of epoxy. I've done epoxy finishes, bar top finishes and things like that with clear coat. But as far as like a deep epoxy pour as part of an inlay type project or carve type project, I haven't worked with epoxies very much, and I happen to be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina this past weekend, working at a customer shop, and they're a hardwood company that deal with slabs and epoxies and all kinds of amazing things. And it really opened my eyes to just, these monstrous pieces of wood, and just not just that, but just like, the different things that they had going on. And I thought, I need to really try some stuff sometime. And so when it comes to epoxy recommendations, I used to, Total Boat is I understand. I've seen some of their, product, and but I've never really worked with it one-on-one. Illuminate, is really good. Well, a product that I ordered myself personally is, believe it or not, you may have heard of the company Speed Tool that make the router bits and all. Well, Speed Tool has a deep pour epoxy that I don't know if they are the makers of it or if they just work with it or what the deal is and everything, but it's called Super Clear. And it is a two-part epoxy. You got your epoxy and your resin and your hardener. I'm assuming it is, but water white, I don't know if that's the proper term. I know that's the proper term, like with lacquers and things like that, but it's a white, clear finish, non-yellowing over time. It's bubble release. You'll see in a lot of epoxy videos and all that they usually hit the epoxy after the pour with like a torch, MAP torch versus a propane torch, MAP gas, I guess, because it burns hotter or what have you. But when they hit the torch, those bubbles, just pop and everything. Well, the Super Clear has a really good release, bubble release. So when it is, presented with that heat, it's just crystal clear. It clears up the bubbles and all. And so I heard a lot of good things of it and everything. And that's the product that I want to try. But oh my goodness, no matter what epoxy resins you go with or you try or things like that, I will tell you what, if any of you in the chat, please let me know if you've worked with epoxies and stuff like that and what you work with and all. But it is not for the faint of heart when it comes to someone that has a tight wallet. It is an expensive product. The deep pour epoxy, super clear deep pour epoxy, 3-gallon kit, $289. Almost had a heart attack. The directly from Speed Tool, you know, like ordering directly from Speed Tool and everything. They have their deep pour epoxy resin and everything. Their liquid glass. It's 2 to 4 inch thick pouring. It's $2.99 normally, but through Amazon, same product, but through their Amazon store, it's $2.89, right? I'm going to pull it up on screen, and I'm going to switch. JR, I'll be right back. I'm going to switch over to my computer screen, and let's see what we got here. Let's switch to camera 2. Yeah. Let's get me down in the bottom left, and let's maximize this here. And the Super Clear 2.0 deep pour epoxy, that is the product. I got Charlie here. Hold on a second. Hey, Charlie, how you doing? We're just talking about the epoxy that I'm working with, and also we'll be back with you in just a moment. And so this is the epoxy I settled on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the same boat, Alumilite. I believe I'm saying that right, Alumilite. And Total Bolt and all, they're all in the same pricing category. I don't think there's, you know, there probably is one cheaper than the other, but a lot of good results on this, and 5-star reviews and everything. That, and I don't want to show too much, but on the bubble release and everything like that. And I thought, you know, hey, this will be the one I'll give a go, because I love the Speed Tool router bit, so why not, right? And then now I will say that I'm not going to just be working with the clear and everything. I'm going to be getting pigments, different color pigments and everything. So there's 2 particular pigments that I'm going to be working with, and one of them is it's Eye Candy is the product. Now this is more in the affordable range for me, right? So, but this here has a 10-pack of pigment colors, different colors that run around $18. I'm getting that, but I'm also getting their black. Let's see here. Let's pull that over here. Their Ninja Black pigment as well too. And so the I want a nice deep black on that, and looking at some of these signs and some of these things and some of these you know, projects that, you know, people are doing with epoxy and stuff. I was looking at a couple of projects and seeing, like, you know, what they were using, what they were making with and stuff, and a lot of them, you know, eye candy kept coming up. And so checking it out, I like their black, and I'm getting their 10-packet set. I mean, they got a lot of different varieties and all, but nope, not that one. Not that one. They're 10-pack. So that's going to be the pigments that I'm ordering in. Those are affordable. Now those are in the $18 range, 16, 17. That's my speed. That's my speed and everything. So that's the 2 products that I'm going to be working with for my first kind of like multi-layer, multi-pour, multi-mill project that we're going to be kind of working through tonight. All right. And so I want to have a discussion about it. Let's move that off the screen. I want to have a discussion about it. I don't have a project design like right now, like already created, and this is what I want. I want to just have a discussion. This is SpindleTV exclusive, is a collaborative membership, kind of exclusive channel, if you will, where we have these intimate Wednesday night classes, and where we can talk back and forth and learn from each other. I just happen to be the host, but I can learn just as well as I can teach. All right, let's go to, give me just a second here. I am going to pull up on my other screen the discussion and everything with us. So in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, if you've worked with epoxy and everything, give me a hands up, thumbs up, wave, yes, whatever. I don't care. Just show yourself and let me know. Brooks Martin says epoxy carves just like hardwoods once cured. Yeah, I'm sure, absolutely sure it does. I have been, I would probably use an O-flute bit, like a plastic bit, because I'm assuming it's a plastic, right? It's a resin epoxy plastic, and everything. And I would probably be more apt to using, my ZRN coated bits that can handle carving in plastic, my O-flute bits and things like that, versus, like a wood bit. I don't know. Right. So, I'm hoping that I can use any of my specialty bits like that are for plastic or that can carve plastic. My ZRN coated bits, my ceramic coated bits, and also my O-flute bits, those I can work with those. When I look at woodworking and epoxy, there is just flooded with information, like on YouTube and everything, and I'm flooded with projects of different types. And what really sparked my interest was two things. I haven't looked at it yet, but Vectric, I believe, just came out with like a tutorial video on a multi-layer mandala. And I haven't looked at it yet to see if it's what I'm thinking it is. But someone had a mandala type layered koi fish where it was kind of done in levels. And then it was glued up to really create this intricate design and everything. And then it was poured, and it was in the middle of this kind of decent sized project. I would say probably, 30 by, 24 or something like that. And it was just, in my eyes, the way it looked, it was just art. It was bad. I mean, it was just awesome. And that really kind of intrigued me. Seeing things like, if we, again, I don't want any copyright, marks on my channel and all that stuff, but looking through all of the different types of things when typing in epoxy and wood, courtesy of Google, just some phenomenal examples of things that can be done. And I'm super excited about working with it for the first time. Nervous as heck because, hey, it's $289. I'm a poor country boy, and if it screws, it's not like I can, I guess you could mill it down and try again. But there's all kinds of things going on in my head, like, let's start out small, where I can get a lot of projects out of that, 2 gallons. It's a 3-gallon kit that I bought for that $289, by the way. So 2 gallons of just the epoxy resin, and then 1 gallon of the hardener, on that 2-part pick. So $2.89 broken up over the 3 gallons. It's actually not too expensive or too bad. I'm assuming. I don't know. Again, that's where I'm ignorant on the fact of many things. Let's see here. Total Boat resins and some light coat products from Creative Wholesale. Very nice, David. Epoxy is my go-to along with their pigments. Now, Epoxy, I actually, got to see them quite a few times at different woodworking shows and everything. They actually had a couple of booths at the woodworking shows when woodworking shows were kind of up and around and stuff. And Epoxies, yes, that's another one that I forgot to mention. Great. From the people I met at the booths and stuff and all, great people over there at Epoxy and everything. Down the road may give them a shot and everything. For my first go around, I'm going to give this one. I want a deep pour epoxy. And again, I know there's lots of them out there and stuff, but I want a deep pour epoxy. I want a, UV, super UV resistant, non-yellowing. I want something that if I overmix or if I screw it up, has a little bit of working time, right lead time, wet time. I don't know what you call it, working time, but also it bubble release, the bubble release technology is really appealing to me that really gets rid of that and everything. I know people sometimes use epoxies for not just filling inlays and things like that with CNC carvings, but infusing it into woods and blanks and everything for pin blanks and all that stuff, or in cutting boards. And the other thing I love that really, really appealed to me about the super clear epoxy was it is food graded epoxy. So on that deep pour super clear epoxy, it is FGCI certified, but it's food grade, food safe, bubble free, just thick, clear pour finish, all that stuff. So this is what kind of attracted me to them and giving them a shot. And so that food safe, because I mean, a lot of what I do and what we would do, with cutting boards and this and that and whatever, if it was on the inlay side of things, charcuterie boards and just everything. That's what I want. Food safe. I want it food safe and everything. So that's where I went with that one too. And again, I'm sure Eco has it and Total Boat and everybody else. I'm sure there's versions out there that's all food safe. Again, my lack of knowledge on epoxy comes from my lack of use of it and everything. So we'll see what's out there. But yes, the people over there and Total Boat, the guys and girls over at Total Boat are good too. I forget who it was back in the day when I was first starting YouTube teaching and everything. I knew someone over at Total Boat, and we got along very well, and lost track with them over the years. All right, so with that being said, and with all the things going on, what I would like to accomplish tonight in the Vectric software, I would like to us to work on the design. Let's call it just a piece of wall art for now, no table or anything like that and everything. It could be, this could be sized down to the size of a cutting board. It could be sized up to the, whatever the case may be. But for now, I would like to go with a project that has a overall width of 36 inches and a height of 24 with a thickness. Get down with a thickness. I want to go 1.5 inches on the thickness. I want to, because I don't know what all is going to be happening on the top here, so I will zero out on the wasteboard, the machine bed. And again, don't know what's all going on in the field, so I'll work from the bottom left corner for my XY datum position. And here, because I'm going to be working with a model in here, possibly building a model of some sort or just importing a model in, but I'm going to start off with a very high resolution. I'm going to click OK, and then that'll be my job setup. But I will come back in and I will increase that to an extremely high resolution for when I'm working with it and everything. Now, whatever we create tonight, if it's not a model that, you know, is owned by someone else, if we were to make something from scratch or whatever the case may be, all files are going to be provided to the exclusive members on this one. But I have nothing made up in advance right now, literally. So for now, I'm going to go with just a very high resolution. Speaking of files, I have every intention of this week through the weekend and everything, completing some things like the billiard sign and all that stuff as far as the files, making sure they're perfect, tight, and right so I can release them to y'all. So before Monday, y'all should have in the SpindleTV exclusive group on Facebook and on the YouTube channel community, you should have links and notifications of files that are ready to be downloaded. Going over some things, so I need to clean house and get things organized and out to you all, and that's what my goal is for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Get all that done. All right, now what I want to look at is in a let me see here. Bear with me. Mandala, M-A-N-D-O-L-A, wood design. I'm going to show you an image. Again, I want to kind of limit what I'm showing online and things like that, but I want to show an image of a layered design, and it's kind of on Amazon, so I think I'm safe and good to go with it. But let's see. I think I'm okay. But many of you probably looking at different types of things with lasers and CNCs and all, you probably come across projects that, you know, may not be like a mandala, you know, that happens to just be the design, you know, but this layered type of project, whether it's cut with a CNC or whether it's cut with a laser engraver and things like that, this leveled type design, this is what really intrigued me. Someone had like a koi fish that they had leveled up like that. And that design, if looking at it carefully and everything, it looks like the design is in some ways just kind of offset, you know, going larger or going smaller. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true because I don't make those every day and everything. But as you get into the levels, the design changes up a little bit, you know, and inside the different levels, the pattern may change. It turns into this grid in the background, or it turns into these lines and stuff. But regardless of that, it's offset, right? And so I could just imagine a deep pour epoxy with some type of design like that, leveled and everything, just coming in and it being a beautiful, very cool type of pour with some type of clear or colors, multiple colors, because you don't, you can pour epoxy and you can mill it, and then you can pour another layer of epoxy and you can mill it, and all kinds of things. And so I'm really intrigued about all the avenues of things that we can do. Now, when it comes to epoxy signs and things like that, in the sign game and all, what I see a lot of three-dimensional, like, raised signs and all with clear epoxy carves. But then turn around and I see epoxy signs that it could be a game logo, it could be something, but they have one color epoxy. It's been milled down, and then new carving has been done for the second part, milled down after it's cured. And so lots of time and stuff on there. I would like to, in this particular project and everything, I want to incorporate a 3D model. And I would like to incorporate, a three-dimensional design of some sort, but some text. And I would like to have different colors of that text or of that design and everything in tonight's project, if you will. And just for those that are visual and everything, looking at signs and everything, it's one on the right here from Reddit. The deep blue is an epoxy fill, then that light blue, and then the red stars and everything in this sample image and everything and all. That's all epoxy pours, right? It's multiple levels and milling and all that. For any of you that have worked with it and you're saying, yep, Laney, that's exactly that's what they do and all that stuff. Again, it's all new to me. So I am learning just as well. All right, let's see here. Hey, Kool-Aid, how are you doing tonight? So what I'd like to start out with is I'm going to start out with a border. Now, when I'm creating borders on my project, I don't know how y'all do it and everything, but I want the center of my anchor point of my rectangle to be at the center of my material. And because I'm starting in the bottom left corner and everything, I use the little shortcuts and everything within the software and the special characters that I can use in the calculation boxes. In this case, I can use the letter W for width or the letter X, and I'll use X. I like X. And I'm going to divide that by 2 and hit equals, and that'll give me the center of my X axis on this project here. And then I can use the letter H for height or the Y axis. In this case, I'll use the Y axis. I'm going to divide that by 2 and hit equals, and that'll give me my center point of 18 by 12. So that's where the anchor point of my rectangle is going to land when it draws this. Now, down on the size and everything, I want a nice frame border. So I'm going to go 1.5 inches all the way around. And so if it's 1.5 inches on the left and 1.5 inches on the right, that's 3 inches. Same thing on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to take my X axis and I'm going to subtract 3 inches from that. And then I'm going to take my Y axis and I'm going to subtract 3 inches from that. And that's going to give me my width and my height of my rectangle, so that when I create that, I can create that border and everything. And for now, I'm just going to go with a nice square border. I'm not going to do any decorative edges or anything. If I did, I would do that, in the Draw Rectangle tool now, but I'm just going to go with a nice 1.5 inch frame all the way around. Now, in the within the frame and everything itself, inside of the model area and all, I would like to have some type of design or graphic or something along those lines. And what I'm thinking is of a leopard. And What I'd like to do is I'd like to carve this leopard head, and it's going to kind of be an accent and all to what's going to be happening in the background. So the graphic, I believe it's on my flash drive. Let me check my flash drive files. I believe I brought it off my laptop to the flash drive. Let me see if the particular leopard head I want to work with is on the flash drive. And it is not. So give me 2 seconds to take my flash drive over to the laptop that we're working on. And let me grab that file. I'm going to go into the File Explorer. I'm turned to the side because I'm working on my laptop that's right next to me. And in the Downloads window of the laptop, there's the leopard head that I want. I'm actually going to grab all 3 of these files. So Control 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to drag those over to the flash drive. All right, right click and eject. Ooh. Okay, coming back over. Let's see. Let me plug this bad boy in. All right. No. Okay. So I'm going to import this graphic off of the flash drive. And I'm going to actually import all 3 of them one at a time to show. So we have this one. We have this one. That one we're going to set aside for right now. And then we have this one. Okay. And so what I'd like to have happen on the graphic, kind of, somewhere over here, I want this graphic, and I'm going to use the Trace Bitmap tool. For me, when I'm tracing an image, now this is literally every single image that I ever import and everything in. Unless the image is kind of a negative that it has to be lower than 50 or something, my threshold is from 50 to 75. I don't go beyond 75 as far as the maximum threshold when tracing an image. And 97% of my images that I import in, I go straight to 75. I don't play around with 50, 55, 60, 65, whatever. I go straight to 75. I don't think about it. I don't analyze it or anything like that. I go straight to 75. I use my default corner fit, my noise filter I bring up to 3. I preview it, I apply it, I close, and then I come in and I turn off that image, and that's my graphic, whatever it may be. Now, on this particular one here, there are a few, by only bringing my noise filter up to 3 instead of maybe 4 or 5, there are a few pixels that need to be cleaned up. And I know this because I always use the same settings and everything, and I always go through and all. But I have this image already cleaned up and saved as a vector on my laptop computer, just not on this design computer. But I don't want to waste time digging and looking for it and everything. I knew where the actual picture was. right away. So bringing that over was no big deal. So in this, I'm going to ungroup this, and I'm going to grab these three. So when you're tracing an image, now I'm going to say this blanket statement here. If that pixel is square, has no shape to it whatsoever, there's a 99.8% chance it's trash, right? That it's not part of the design. It's what it is it's part of the, the vector line that didn't get traced very well, but it's a pixel. It's a pixel or multiple pixel in one. It's trash. You can get it eliminated out there. And the ones that have the figure eights, that's trash too. So in this case, I'm going to go through and I'm going to delete that. Now, I'm not going to, at this moment in time, go through and look for every square and everything out there to make sure I got everything out there. But for that, those three on this particular image are usually the only three that I need to deal with. Now, coming over to the whiskers over here to the right, and right above the whiskers on this, we have one on the right side of the square that's going to get deleted. And then in the whisker itself, we have one. But this whisker, I'm actually going to redraw it. And what this is the area of the image was a little slightly faded when it traced. And so didn't have very good details. So the lines didn't trace very well. And the noise filter kind of just, created these spots, and they're heading towards this end result. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I'm going to go into node editing on this graphic. So you're kind of learning about graphics and editing pictures and things as well. And I'm going to cut the vector right on the end of the point here. And then I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to delete the span on this side. So I have two separate lines. Now on this one, I'm actually going to kind of pull it up just ever so slightly here. And over here, I'm going to take this and pull this down where I cut it there. And I'll eventually end up getting rid of this node right there, but not right this second. But what I'd like to do first is one of two things. Number one, if I hold down the shift key and select this, if I join with a smooth curve, what it's going to do is it's going to take my top node, it's going to throw it into my bottom node on this other vector over here, and that's not what I want. I want that to be up here on the top part, and I do not want this little wiggly line. I want a nice smooth, and I'll come in here and smooth that out. I just want it to be a nice smooth line up to here. And then coming across here, I'll do that again, join with a smooth curve. And what it's going to do, it's going to try to shoot that right up to there again. We're going to cut that vector there and pull that down to here. And then we're going to take the anchor and spin her around. And I'm going to end up deleting this point here. Oh, don't do that. Let me try that again. Let me join this first because it's cut. So give me a second. We're going to go into the join tool and select this end piece and close it up. And I got a little bit of a gap, not an overlap, a little bit of a gap here. Let me pull that back together. I thought I was right on it, but I wasn't. Let's try that one more time. Join and close that up. Now, coming back on this, I'm going to go into node editing, and I want to delete this point here. Oh, I keep hitting delete span. Let's try that again. Delete the point. There we go. And I want a nice curve coming into there. So just a nice curve coming out. And that's all I want on that, right? So just a nice curve coming out, and that's going to be that outside whisker. Now, this lion's head as a V carve, or leopard head, not lion head, as a V carve and as a raised V carve and everything, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it as an inlay. I love it as just a V carve, maybe painted and everything. It is gorgeous when it carves. I mean, it carves deep and just really, really good looking. So I know that I can do justice on this as a using that Ninja black pigment and everything on all the inner areas that should be dark. And then in the 10 pack of pigments, where's that 10 pack of pigments? Let me see here. In that 10 pack of pigments. Oh, I want to cut that. Hold on a second. In that 10 pack of pigments. Yeah. Let me bring that back on the screen. I think on that 10 pack of pigments and everything that the fire orange, I don't know if how well it shows up there, but as the leopard's skin, fur, whatever you want, fur, not skin, I think that would just, I think it would look very, very good and everything like that. So let's do a sample V-carve toolpath of this leopard to show the quality of it and why I like it so much. I'm just going to do a V-carve toolpath and I'm going to calculate. Let me do it with a 60-degree V-bit. I will I will turn the limit off and let's see if it's going to cut through in certain areas. Probably is on the chin and stuff. It might not. Let's see if we get any warnings and all. It's going to be deep and intense around the ear and under the chin. But it didn't cut through because I'm working with 1.5-inch thick material, but I would limit it. I'm not going to waste epoxy. As expensive as it is, I'm probably the maximum depth I'm going to go is probably going to be maybe, I don't know. We'll call it 3/8 at the deepest right now without knowing. But man alive, this here, let's fill in the color and all. Is just gorgeous, right? Now, on my wood and everything, as far as trying to get that fire orange to where, it was like, the skin and stuff, right now, the way that the carving does is it's all the black areas, right? All the shadow and black areas. This would be the Ninja black, right? And, in order for me to do an outline where I could put the fire orange in there too, so that the skin has that kind of, that orange tone. And if I'm fur, I keep saying the word skin, but the fur has that that orange tone. It's not, a leopard is, it's got a white underbelly. It's got some white in mixed with that orange, but it has kind of that, that color, right? So, I honestly think that if I did some type of offset around here, I really wouldn't go beyond the whiskers and create an additional line and everything, that I could just do a pocket cutout and fill it with that fire orange, right? Just about like a silhouette, fill it with that fire orange and then come back and carve this inner area that's going to be the black pour, I think it would look good. I don't know. If you don't think it would look good, say it in the chat. Let me know. But I think it would look great, honestly. I think it would. I really do. That fire orange, I think that the color that from what I see in the pigment and everything, what I saw in some of the examples online and stuff, we're not going to look through every, eye candy product example of what people made using it and all, but it's got a really nice sunset kind of tone to it, if you will, and all. So what I'd like to try to do with this, because I'd like to kind of use not just the black, the jet black with this, but the fire orange and all, I'd like to create a bit of an outline for this. And since this graphic doesn't have that outline around the neck, I've got to kind of fake it till you make it thing and kind of create one myself. So this is where, for me, that the freehand tool, I love the freehand tool. In the Vectric software, the freehand drawing tool, it's like putting pencil to paper. In my case, generally, when I'm doing things like in, the cloud, Adobe, Cloud Illustrator and things like that, I like using, I have a huge, don't crush your tablet there, bro. But I have a tablet, Huion tablet, and a stylus, which the stylus is in my other room right now. But I like drawing on that because, again, I'm not an artist by any means, but it's a little bit more natural for me to use that than kind of working with a mouse, right? Man, I can't believe this. It's like, holy camole. But I'm pretty decent with a mouse. So with the freehand tool and everything, it just, taking the time. So what I'm going to do is, in this instance and everything, I'm going to freehand. We're kind of following these leopard spots and everything all the way to here. And then I'm going to offset that out slightly, a little further out, and then I'll connect, I'll cut, connect, and everything, but it's all going to be on a separate layer because I do not want to lose these vectors. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to right click and copy this over to, let's get over to our drawing tools. On this vector, I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy to a layer, and this is going to be my outline. So I'm going to just go L head outline. I'm going to change it to a color that, what's going to show up on the screen for you guys and girls? We'll try a light blue. Apologize if any of you have any color blindness that I'm not aware of, that where you can't see things, let me know. Speaking of that, I wonder if my mouse highlight will work proper. I did not choose black. Hold on a second. Would help if I slid that up a little bit. Still didn't choose black. Hold on a second. Why? Come on now. Slide. There we go. All right. So that shows up decently on the screen. Okay. Let's minimize that. Apply the settings. Okay. So I'm going to use kind of like a light blue for this layer. And I'm going to now turn off my layer 1 for now. And so I have this light blue that I can just destroy however I want. Now, what I'd like to do is I just want the outside line for this. So coming in here, let's start with node editing. I'm going to cut the vector right here on this node. And then coming over here, I'm going to cut the vector right about there on that node. And then that all the way down to here, I'm going to cut it right there. Now, that one line should just be that whole inside line. Again, I just want the outline, so none of this stuff inside here matters to me. So I'm going to delete that out of my way. And then over here, this one loops all the way around, all the way to over here. And I'm actually going to cut the vector right there. And that inside line there, gone. And then I can go ahead and on these two, I can join them with a smooth curve just to kind of reconnect that there. And on this one, I'm going to free hand draw. So using the freehand draw tool, I'm going to start. Now, if I hold down the control key when you're freehand drawing, it will snap to the line, a vector. And what I want to do is I want to connect from line to line. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see the whole neck. And I'm going to get my mouse in a position that I can freehand draw and my mouse stays on my pad, right? So I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to click on the end of that line, hold down that left mouse button, and I'm going to kind of come around, just getting it on the board to begin with. I'll smooth out all the little jiggedness of the shakiness of my hand and all of that stuff after it's done. Holding down that control key, I'm going to bring it right to the end of that line. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into node editing. And I still got to draw this line over here on the right, or kind of connect where these, get rid of these whisker areas and all. But over here, I'm going to take and I'll use the curve fit tool. Make sure, first of all, I want to make sure it's one, yep, closed vector it is. And I'm going to come over here and the curve fit tool, and where is it at? Right there. And on these points and everything, I don't need all those points. I need just a nice smooth curve. And what I can do is, by being it, either a Bezier arc or a circular arc, it is a Bezier curve. It's not a circular arc. I am going to end up kind of replacing that. And it still did not create too much of a cleanliness there. But I can go back into node editing. And on these points here, I'm just going to go from here. Hold on. I'm going to draw my mouse from there to there and highlight all of those. I'm going to hold down the shift key and add this, that, and that. Come up here. I'm going to add that one, and I'm going to right click and delete those points. I can also hit the letter D on the keyboard to delete those points, which I should have done to begin with. And what that does is, because there's nothing there now, there's no points or anything there, it just gives me kind of this line, right? Well, now I can just take and drag this line out And over here, this anchor, I can drag it out. And from point A to B, I have a nice smooth curve, not a zigzagged line, right? So I freehand drew it, maybe a little bumpy, right? You know, with mouse and all that stuff. But then I came back with the curve fit tool, used that to see if I could eliminate some of those nodes on the curve fit tool. Don't want to make too much adjustments on the curve fit tool because this outline still has to match my other vector to a point because of all the black carving that's going to happen, right? And stuff. With that, I was able to go back into node editing, select the nodes, get rid of them, and just create that, you know, nice smooth curve there. All right, now over on the right-hand side, now the whiskers are going to come in beyond the orange, right? Beyond the orange into the black and everything. So I don't want them for this particular area that's going to get filled with the orange. I don't want them in the drawing and everything. And so node editing, I'm going to cut the vector here, come all the way around to the top of the eyebrow and cut the vector there. Delete all those. Now I'm going to try to just click on join with a smooth curve to see what it draws for me. That gets me somewhere, but it looks like he's got a big old bump on his head. You know, the pimple doctor would love him, right? But I want to kind of bring that back down. Okay. And I don't want that jiggy jag right there. So I'm going to come in and delete that point. And I'm going to spin this bad boy ever so slightly. Not a lot. I don't want to change what's going on too much over here. But I should be able to pull that around to get rid of that. And again, all this stuff inside, just so you know, we are actually going to be deleting it, right? Everything inside is going to go bye-bye. Right. Now here, node editing. I'm going to cut the vector here. All the way around to here. Get rid of that. And then once again, I'll join with a smooth curve, the tool for join with a smooth curve to come in. And that one is actually pretty good. If I turn on my other layer, you can see where it needs to come in just ever so slightly here. So in node editing, my line, let's turn off that layer there. My line has these two anchor points, one right here and one right there. And they're kind of on top of each other right now in this pyramid fashion right there. And so turning that back on, if I zoom in, I want this top one, the one that's connected to the top anchor. That's the one I want to move. I want to pull that, and I'm just going to pull back to where I'm following that. And then this one can start to shape here. I'm going to insert a point right here. And I'm going to pull that manually just kind of right back to right where that whisker kind of starts. And then I'm going to insert a point. I'm going to pull that back to here. just turn off the smoothing so I can do one versus the other. I'm going to bring this back in just a little bit. Bring this in just a little bit. And I'm happy with that. So now I can turn off my main design. And so this is going to be my perimeter boundary and everything. So this is going to be a big pocket. And if all goes well, might be able to demonstrate this in the video, like right live, so we can see what it looks like and stuff. All right, so that's going to be one vector for the main pocket, and then my main design is going to be there. Okay, so if I were creating the toolpaths for this, for the epoxy and everything, it'd be two separate toolpaths. Let's get out of node editing mode, and my first pocket cut, again, I'm not going to go very deep with it, and I'm going to just kind of level it off and stuff. I would really like, and here's what I was talking with someone earlier on and all that was doing, inlays and things like that. When I'm doing an inlay, V-carve inlay or anything, just let's talk V-carve inlay and all. I kind of want to get the most meat that I can within my inlay and everything. So I tend to use a narrower V-bit. 15, 22 degree V-bit and everything. It gets me into those deeper areas and stuff, and gives me those angled walls where they're not so angled. I got less angled walls, and they just, for me, I feel like it just gives me a better, deeper inlay, a better hold and everything. And so for this pocket cut, when I have it carved down and all, it's going to be, just an end mill, and I'm going to lose some of the detail in the ear and everything. And I don't like that thought. So I want to combine the V-carve with the pocket, which is a V-carve toolpath with a flat depth. So I can use my clearance tool in the flat area and everything, that end mill, but I can also use my V-bit. In this case, it's going to be the 22 degree V-bit to do the edge work to get into that tighter detail and all. I would do this, absolutely. I would be using in version 12 the V-carve inlay. If it was an actual V-carve inlay, I'd use the male and female, but this is going to be something new. I'm pouring epoxy in there, right? I'm filling it in with epoxy. So it's going to be at least at a minimum of V-carve toolpath. For the flat depth, I want to limit this cut. I'm going to probably go because again, how much it takes to fill up this and all that stuff. I'm going to go just 1/4 inch deep. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch end mill for the main part of the pocket, but I have no problem also using an 1/8 inch end mill as well. But if you're like, I want to do as minimal tool change as possible, then, the 1/4 inch is going to get it done. I'm of the opposite. I like to use whatever tools can, help reduce runtime, and my 1/8 inch bit coming in to the tighter areas where the 1/4 inch bit is going to be a lot better clearing out those tighter areas than my point of my V-bit having to do all the flat areas where the 1/4 inch bit can fit. It's going to make it run longer. So I'm going to be using a combination of a 1/4 inch end mill and an 1/8 inch end mill. And I want to absolutely make sure that I'm taking just about the same amount of pass depth and everything, so it doesn't, the 1/8 inch doesn't take up more time. You know, it takes up the same amount of time. But rather than the point of my V-bit having to flatten out every little piece and everything, I'd rather use a smaller tool to get it done faster. Okay, so on this case, not worried about grain direction and all that stuff. So I'm not going to raster. I'm going to just do an offset, let it go round and round and clear it out. And we're going to calculate that. All right, so if we reset that preview and preview that visible toolpath, and let's turn off the color. We've got this void here, right? All right. Now, that gets filled with epoxy, cures for what? Somebody tell me that's worked with epoxy for 24 hours, right? Before you go carving on it again. Is that true or false? If you've worked with epoxy before and you've carved with epoxy and inlays and things like that and all that stuff, throw out, can I start carving on it within an hour or two, or should I let it cure fully, right? Because I don't want it getting all gummy on my bits and stuff like that. So I'd rather, I don't care. There's no timeline. I don't care how long it takes me. So probably a 24-hour cure, let it cure overnight. Somebody give me a, wait a day. Yeah, Roger S, wait a day. Okay. So I'm good with that. Now. When we're looking at the preview and everything here, right? It's really hard to kind of, I think it's going to be really hard to kind of show what this would look like as a, you know, like making it look like it was epoxy filled or anything like that. But I might be able to. Let me see. So let's go in here and let's select all of our vectors except for that. Let's do a V-carve toolpath. We're going to start at 1/4 inch. This might not look right. I don't know. We're not going to limit the cut on it. And I'll turn off the clearance tool for now and calculate. Actually, sorry, that's a lie. I need to give it some kind of flat depth because I'm using a 22. So let's go 1/4 inch. All right, if I calculate this, let's see how terrible this looks as a preview simulation. I don't know how it previews. That's what I'm, you know, it's all for your viewing pleasure. I don't know if it's going to look right or anything like that, but let's give it a go. Preview the visible toolpath. And then let's give that toolpath a color of black. And let's give this other toolpath a color of orange. To kind of simulate that. It doesn't simulate too badly. I mean, you got to visualize it's, imagine it, right? You got to visualize it yourself. But that doesn't simulate too badly in the simulation of what that could possibly look like with that black and orange resin. All right. I just think that it's going to look just amazing. Now, I don't really have any cool sayings or quotes or anything like that to accompany with this just yet. My company logo is not anything to do with a leopard and all that. So thinking off the top of my head, I don't really know what to say and all. And also one other thing is the positioning of this. Because again, I want to have, I may end up moving all this over to the left and then have something over here because I do want to still have some 3D effect going on as well too. Let's take all of this and let's bring that here and align it, not up and down center and all, but more towards right about there, the bottom. Okay. And then let's come in here and recalculate. Now, this toolpath, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, the calculation right now is just for preview purposes only. We would absolutely not take the V-carve of those black spots and push them on the start depth. We would not shove them down 1/4 of an inch. They're going to carve from the top of the board just like the other carve. So the the cut depth would actually would be 0, not 1/4 of an inch. The only reason I have it as 1/4 of an inch right now in this moment in time is for preview purposes only. Okay. That is it. Just to show that color of the orange and the black. It's going to be filled flat, milled flat. I'm going to fill it, let it cure for a day. I'm going to keep everything right on the CNC. So I'm going to make sure I have my barriers or whatever to, if I'm going to pour this in, that it's not that messy, that I don't get all over my table. I'm not going to take this off the table and put it back on and all that stuff. I'm literally going to do everything right on the table. So most likely the brown paper, construction paper, I guess you would call it, that brown roll of construction paper that you would use to bundle up and throw in boxes when you're packing, or to lay over your workbench when you're spray painting or painting or something like that. I'm most likely going to have a sheet of that rolled out. I'm going to have my project clamped on that, and then it's under my project when it's clamped on my table, so that I can do all of my stuff right then and there. Because once that epoxy cures, it's going to be slightly bubbled up, as far as raised up above the level of the project board. It's going to get resurfaced with a surfacing, but it's going to get surfaced, flat before the next and the next and the next and all. And I'm going to do it right all on the table. So number one is I want to make sure that I get deep enough cuts that I can take, if I'm going to do my best just to skim the surface, just to get rid of the excess epoxy and all that, because it's all going to sand and do smoothly. I'm going to probably wet sand it up to 400 grit or something, when it's all said and done. But to protect my table and all for over pours, whatever, I don't know. I'm going to have something underneath it, and probably the construction paper stuff, thinking ahead before when I clamp things down. Now, number two, there was a second point. There really was a second point and all. I'm going to try to do all my first carvings and everything. I'm not just going to focus on one area, right? If there's going to be multiple carvings that are using the same color epoxy or what have you, I'm going to pour all of them all at once. So again, I don't know what the rest of it is. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm going to pour it all at once, let it all cure at once, and then carve and everything. I'm not going to just stick on wait 24 hours, little section, wait 24 hours and make this a week-long project, right? I'm going to try to minimize that. Because I can see how big pours with a lot of detail and all that, I could see how if I was carving over and over on the same item, just different colors and different detail and different this and everything, how that could turn into a very long project. But not knowing it, not doing it, is that. So that's where this bad boy is going to be, right here in the bottom corner. Now, mind you, and everything, that there's still going to be some stuff going on here. Now, depending on what's going on and all, I'm going to have some other things happening in here, and I'd like in some way or another have it, tie together and make sense, right? I would have loved to have a three-dimensional model version of something like this. I might talk to my team and have them put me a model together for this, because we make models and everything. I might have this turned into a 3D model, because I would absolutely love to have that three-dimensionally carved and then the clear over it, right? So this thing is inside, so it looks like you're looking down into it and all. So that will probably be something that I'll reach out to my team tonight, because they are in the UK. It's usually an 8 to 10 day turnaround, but I'll see if I can get them to, I don't know, get it done a little quicker, but we'll see. But I really want that. This, by all means, by the way, this particular image here, awesome V carve as well too. But I'd like to have that as a 3D model. Now, if I have this made as a 3D model, I'm the owner of the company. My model, I can do what I want with it, right? So I will provide that model file for the members and everything. And I'll let you know in messages in the community message on YouTube and in the Facebook group if that model file is coming. But I would like to imagine, if you will, and again, it's got to make sense somehow or another, to where it's like part of the frame, or I got to make it make sense. It's got to somewhat flow. I'll figure that out. But that's what I would love to have here. But I want some text on here. I'd like to have this to say something. I'd like to have some nice text with some nice color and detail and everything in it. It doesn't have to be a quote. It doesn't have to be anything. It could be, hell, for all that, it could be my company name, Build It TV, but this leopards have nothing to do with my company, right? But it could just, the reason why I chose these subjects and all is I've always wanted, I told myself if I was to ever do, because I've done this as an inlay, this leopard head, and my God, it's gorgeous. I've done it with a maple background and an ebony inlay. Oh, gorgeous. The only thing is this as the epoxy gives me the opportunity to do that orange background like that, a realistic look and all. And that's going to be a game changer for me, right? So it's going to be exciting for me. And I always knew if I was, my first epoxy pour was going to involve this leopard head in some way or another. So that's why you guys are seeing, that's why you're like, why are you doing a leopard? If it means nothing to you. But because I love this particular vector so much, in this particular image, and I've carved it so many times in so many different projects and all, I want this to be my first epoxy job. Okay. So, but second, this bad boy as a 3D model. Always wanted to do that. I just never taken the time to do it. I think it would make an absolutely stunning 3D model. And so I'll pay to have my team do that, because they're not, I have to pay them. They're working folks as well. So it'll probably cost me, I don't know, $100 or something like that. And I don't know, they might give me a partner discount. Who knows? But we'll make it available to the members for free. But I'd like to have that in there. But let's talk about the text for right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a different 3D model so we can have something, so we can visually do something. But know that it'll probably end up getting changed in the final design to this leopard when that gets done. So for right now, we'll pull in a 3D model. Give me just a second here. And let's see. It's one of those things where I wish I could sculpt better, like myself, to make, a model and all, but that's why I pay someone to do that. I'm not that much of an artist. I know what I can and can't do, and things. And when it comes to models, I like CG Trader and Turbo Squid. Love those two websites to purchase models from and everything. I really like those sites and everything. Let's see what we got going on here for a 3D model that we can use. I wanted to kind of stay into the family of the leopards and all, but I don't think I have one in my Vectric software. So let's see if almost there, folks. Give me just a moment. Okay. All right. That's not a leopard. Okay, so we're going to have to bypass that. Let's see what we have in my clip art. Under animals. Nothing good. I mean, it's all good. Vectric, nothing, not knocking Vectric. It's all good, but nothing that gives me the depth or the design that I want. I need just something that we can work with for tonight. I need something that we can work with for tonight. And so we'll just do something that has some detail ornately, and then it's going to get switched out with something that makes more sense. So this model for class is not going to make sense as far as that goes, but I need a spot filler, if you will. So what we'll do is Come on, Laney. Can't afford to be picky on this right now. Jesus. Well, no matter what I pick, nothing is going to match what I. And this is what doing live classes on the fly with no pre-plan. I had a plan, but not a fully executed plan. What I'm going to do is you're going to see the power of Vectrix mirror mode and all that stuff here in just about 2 seconds. Let me grab another piece of clip art. It's going to be, where you at? Okay. So what we're going to do really quickly is we're going to build up a 3-dimensional design that I can carve in, and that'll be kind of my model filler for the epoxy. And then we need to get some text going on in here and stuff too. So for this, what I'm going to do now, when it comes to Vectrix, when items, I want these 3 models on their own level right now. And I'm going to right click and move them to, first of all, a new level by themselves. This is going to be my raw model sample. And the combine mode is going to be merge for all of them. I'm going to go in to the design here, and I'm going to take my leopard out of the way. No, actually, that's a lie. I'm going to just turn off the layers. That's don't do what I was just about to do. Don't move your stuff around. Layers. So we're going to move this stuff to its own layer. This is going to be my 3D element layer. Element. And then I'm just going to turn off these other layers. Now, when working in the Vectrix software, Vectrix VCarve Desktop, Vectrix VCarve Pro, Vectrix Aspire, your board, no matter what size it is and all, it's automatically broken up into 4 quadrants, right? So you have your northwest, northeast, southwest, and southeast, your left, right, top and bottom, left and right and everything. And it's broken up. It's divided into 4 quadrants. Upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right is the proper usage. That's how they word it and everything. So imagine, if you will, that there's a virtual line in the middle of your project. And in this case, let's go 18 by 16. So 1 there and 1. Come on, work with me. There we go. Not 18 by 16, 12 by 18. That's my virtual point. So anything, when I'm using mirroring and all that stuff, anything that's on the left side, if I want to mirror it over on the right, it's going to create that mirror copy. If I want to rotate it around, it'll create that copy, and it'll blend everything nice and neat. So what I'm going to have is the parts here. I'm going to take and size this one up a little bit. And I'm going to split it right on my board. So I'm going to go to the alignment tool, align to the center of material, get it like right on there. And this, I'm going to come in bring that right there. I'm going to size this up. Hold that shift key down. I'm going to size this up a little bit. We'll get all the heights and everything maxed out in just a moment. Now I'm going to use the alignment tool on this one and align left to right on the material. Get that centered. And then on this one here, I'm going to rotate that ever so slightly. I'm going to bring this in, and it's going to get sized down. It's too big. And I want that to kind of connect there to that. I need to go up a little bit. All right, now, so on this, when I go into the components and everything on this layer, when I right click and turn on mirror mode, I can go left to right. So everything on the left side goes to the right side. I can go right to left. Everything on the right side goes to the left side. I can go top to bottom or bottom to top, or I can take anything that's in the top left quadrant and mirror it to the other three. Anything that's in the top right quadrant, and mirror it to, the other three, bottom right, bottom left, either way, right? And in this case, I want this quadrant, this upper left quadrant, to be mirrored around to the other three. So I'm going to take and select top left quadrant. Now what's going to happen is in the 2D view, you're not going to see anything. But when we go to the 3D view, you're going to see the object that is created. And let me get this upright. Bear with me just a second. Okay. Now, going to change some heights and everything to get everything to blend nicely, to get everything to show nicely and everything. So the first thing that I want to do is this object here that I'll select first. So the flourish and all. That particular one, the leaves. So it is currently grouped together. It's an X project, a Max X project, meaning that it's made up of a bunch of individual little projects and all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can ungroup these, right? So it's all individual and everything. And on the, we have the inner star area, which is the middle part of this. And then we have the leaves. And in this case, I want the left leaf. Let me get to it. Right here. This one and the one right there. Those two. I want to increase them, the thickness of them. So I can single click here and I can give it either a little base height or a little shape height. I like to start with the shape height. I'm going to go 0.375. Oh, 2 decimal points. And bear with me just a second. Let me make sure it's not someone important. All right. Family member or something needing me. Let's see here. Let's go to this on the shape height. 3/8, 0.375. And I'm not worried about what's happening here. On this particular one, it's really kind of this upper quadrant. If I look at here, it's split right down the middle, right? So I don't even know why I have that one highlighted right now, because it's this upper quadrant that's going to make the difference, okay, and everything. But this part of the model is in that upper quadrant. So what I actually want to do is I actually want to take this model as a whole turning off those visibility of those for a moment. I want to take this model as a whole, and I'm going to bump it up just a little bit. One more. Come on. I'm not worried about this little leaf right in here. That'll end up getting eliminated. You'll see in the next step. All right, so that's good. And then I want to move everything to the left a little bit. My goal is to get this corner on that left quadrant. And because this is broken up into individual parts, I can just remove what I don't need. All right, so that needs to go up a little bit. I want to be fully in that left quadrant. That's what I love about the X projects, is it's made up of multiple components. So I can just get rid of the components I don't want that might interfere with what I'm trying to do. Again, just I got my little guideline there kind of showing me where my middle part is. And if it blends, that's fine. Everything on the left is going to end up on the right. So if there's a little blend there in the middle, that's fine too. If there's an air gap, that's fine as well. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to back it up a little bit to blend it right there. One more time here. I'm going to bring that down to blend it. Okay, so now on here, I can go ahead and actually turn off the, I can turn on the one that means not that one, not that one. There we go. I need that one. And that one. All right, turn that off. And the inner star. So I've got that. Now I can turn my other flourish back on. And let's look at my other flourish in the 3D view. I want to see, what's happening here, right? And everything. And the where it's blending in. And again, that is, let's take the base height of this and let's increase it ever so much. Okay. And then my other flourish comes in. Again, not worried about what I'm seeing around here just yet, because I'm going to get rid of some other stuff. On this flourish is actually going to get tilted. So go into the tilt. Let me bring up. Actually, I don't need to tilt. All I needed to do was bring up the shape height. Perfect. That's good. That is good. Okay, that's all I needed to do on that. All right, now, once again, with my mirror on, this is my model. This inner area right here, this inner star, I'm going to do a trace on it. And I'm going to change up the shape a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to redraw the shape. So we're going to go into our vectors. I'm going to use an octagon, hexagon. We're going to go 6 sides. Let's go, 6 sides. Come hither. There. I'm going to take a line and I'm going to draw a line straight down and straight over. I'm going to take the scissors and get rid of that corner. And mirror that over by itself, just the vector itself. And on these two vectors, kind of weld that. It's going to be I'm going to use a prism shape. We're going to come at a profile angle. I'm going to go 30 degrees. I'm only going to bring that up at 25%, and it should flatten out across. Wait for it. In the 3D view, yeah, that's what I want. It's going to be a merge. Don't worry about what you see here. Merge. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this model and I'm going to split it. So just this one component. So on the line that I had on the center here, right? I'm going to put it back. But it's going to be slightly longer than the model. And that's going to be kind of my split line. Now on this model here, when I click on it and I select that line, here we have a tool that, not the slice tool, but the split tool, which is, hold on a second, right there with a pair of scissors cutting through the model. It's going to say split the selected vector along the selected component. Okay, selected vector along the selected component. So when I split that, it's going to break it up into 2 parts. Side A, side B. Side A, or B for me, goes away, right? And at this point, the vector can go away too. And at this point, now I'm going to just ever so slightly pull this model slightly over the line there so that when it mirrors around, it blends because it'll get rid of all the overlap. And I'm slightly going to pull it below this line just a little bit. And what is going to happen is I'm going to have this wedge shape even across the middle as well too. So if I were to pull this down and pull this over, it should eliminate the line on the across the middle when it creates this. So let's go ahead and take a look at it in the 3D view. And you can see here, the line in the middle is still right there. And let's see. Oh, let me see here. That line is going to be, let's pull it down again a little bit more. Look at the 3D view. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Okay. The power of mirror mode in Vectric, right? So, now here's the power of Aspire on this. In Vectric, V-Carve Desktop and Pro, I can make this model doing exactly this using mirror mode. And that's exactly what it's going to look like and all of that wonderful jazz. However, that's where it exists. Now, with Aspire, because Aspire gives me the ability to build models and everything, I can, in the design tool, I can create a component from the visible model. So I can create a copy of this from what it shows right here. Not what it shows in the 2D view, right? But what it shows in the 3D view and everything. Now, what when I do that, it's going to create that duplicate model. And in the components, I can now turn off the originals, and I can turn off, I can bring that copy back down to the level that doesn't have mirror mode effect on it, right? I can turn off all the other models and everything, and that flourish, and that's the inner star there. I don't want that either. I want it flat right there in the middle. Okay, so now this copy is that copy, right? So that's that. Now, if I wanted to take and duplicate this, and I wanted to take that duplication and rotate it and all, merging them together, not combining with add and everything, but merging. I can create all kinds of cool, wonderful things. Now, we're going to leave this as this is. That's going to be my 3D model component. Here in the middle, I could put initials or whatever the case may be. But that is from those three models, the one flourish, this one here, and the horn that kind of goes over to the left. This is what I'm ending up with. And if I wanted to change anything, I could move certain things over to the left or right, but actually this looks good to me. All right. Crazy looking model, but it gives me something to work with. So this is all going to get moved over here. And it's going to get carved down. I want to create a cavity around this to where this is all that in the that gets filled with clear epoxy around all of this. So first thing I got to do is create a boundary around the visible model. That vector boundary, I'm going to slightly offset outward. I'm going to outward just 1/8 of an inch. I don't want to create sharp corners. That's fine. Offset outward. And that vector, that outside boundary, that's going to be what I use to as my boundary for carving. So in here, I want this model actually to be down further than normal. You know, right now my model is 0.6 inches thick. I actually want to mill some material away so I have like a clear. I'm going to have a clear level of epoxy on it to begin with anyway, because when this carves down, I mean, it's curved and all. But I want to bring it down like below the surface just a little bit. So here, I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch of gap above the model. And so all that 1/4 of an inch has to get milled away before it starts shaping the model. So that 1/4 of an inch is gone. Then it starts milling the model down that 1/4 of an inch. And that's what I want. I want to be down in there a bit. I want to, when I look into this, and it's going to look so cool when it's the leopard, but when I look down into this, whatever it is, or at the wall, I don't care. When I'm looking into this, it's like looking underwater. And if it's as clear as as crystal clear as it, as I think it's going to be, it's just going to look like, you're just looking under the water into this depth, right? So I don't want the model too close to the surface. I want it down a little bit. I don't want it too deep, but I want it down some. So that's going to be that. So we're going to set that up there. And then now 3D rough, 3D finish, right? So, and just know, if this was the leopard, right, the model of the leopard, no, same thing is going to happen with the leopard. Oh, I hit yes. I didn't want to hit yes, but that's okay. Same thing is going to happen with the leopard. Outside boundary is going to get created. It's going to get offset. It's going to get carved. So it's kind of looking down deep into it and all. So on this model, 3D rough, I have no reason not to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I don't need a big bit or anything like that. So the 1/4 inch end mill is going to be, and the selected vector is going to be the boundary. I'm going to leave a 40,000ths of an inch allowance, and it's going to be a Z level raster. I'm not carving the 3D model with my end mill. I'm just hogging away the waste material. If I set it up as a 3D raster, I'm actually carving that 3D model with the end mill. And that model, that bit being flat and square, it's going to start chipping away stuff that shouldn't get chipped away if I do it as a 3D raster. I want it as a Z level raster. I want to just hog away the waste material. So it's going to step down accordingly and everything. Back and forth is fine. That's all good. We're going to hit select. And we're going to calculate that toolpath. Now, these two items, this leopard and this flourish, they definitely don't go together in the same project, right? So use your imagination with me. We're going to accomplish the same thing with a different model, same steps, same all that. Now, it's going to look good. All right, so the 3D finish cut, I'm going to use a tapered ball nose. Now, for the most part, the detail in this model does not require me to go down to a 32nd or that and 16th and stuff like that. I can get away with this with a 1/8 inch tapered ball nose. But when I get that leopard model back from my team and everything, I'm going to use a 16th inch tapered ball nose so it's so I got that detail. So I'm going to set this up for the 16th, but this one only needs an 1/8 if I was actually carving this model right here. So we're going to use a 16th inch tapered ball nose and with a 32nd inch radius, because that's the bit that I'm going to use with the lever. Same selected vector as the boundary, no boundary offset. I'm going to raster this back and forth like a printer. I'm going to cut with that grain and everything. And then we're going to calculate that 3D finish cut. Now, I will say this. Let me turn that off for just a second. And let me close this for just a second. This right here, in a bit of a smaller fashion, a little bit smaller, and with these 4 things backed up just a little bit to create a little bit larger area right here, this would make a very nice centerpiece for a dining table or something like that, where there's a bowl or something in the middle. This would be the medallion, if you will, for that bowl to sit on. It would be a pretty sharp design. So knowing that, I would probably tweak a little bit on these leaves and everything. I'd probably just change them just a little bit. But knowing that and everything, in Aspire, I can go up to on the components here, and I can go to the model and I can export an STL version of this model, or I can export it out as clip art. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to export it out as 3D clip art. And that way I can add it to my clip art gallery over here. I don't need to export it out as a STL. So I'm just going to throw it in my downloads for the moment. And I'm just going to call this I actually call it a centerpiece medallion. I think I misspelled medallion, but that's okay. And now I have that I can use if I ever wanted to do that, because it would look as a centerpiece to a nice bowl or something. It would, or as a base, if you will. It would probably look pretty cool. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Let's go back into the preview, and let's preview the finish cut. Now on the finish cut, I use the selected vector as the boundary, right? So up to the top. What I am thinking that I want to do instead is to let the bit go slightly past the boundary so it rolls over the edges nicely and everything. Now, one of the things that you can see here is it does roll over to the edge nicely, but there's a lip right here. And you should be able to see that where I'm pointing at. This lip this is the rough cut where it cut to, and this is the finish cut, right? And that because of the taper of the angle of the bit, it's leaving this little step over. And I don't want that in my project. It's going to happen with the leopard as well, right? So what I do want to do is, number one is I want to move all this over a little bit because I'm getting into my leopard head right there. But again, it's going to be a different shape with the leopard. But what I do want to do is I want to run an end mill around this perimeter, a profile cut on the inside of the line around this perimeter to get rid of that lip. So that lip on this vector here, okay, Right now, if you recall, I only offset from my model 1/8 of an inch. So I can't run a 1/4 inch bit on the inside of the line because that'll be cutting into my model, right? So what I want is there's two things I want to do here. On the 3D finish cut, I want to let the bit go past the boundary offset by the diameter of the bit, a little bit more than the diameter. So I'm going to go 0.07 since the diameter is 1/16 of an inch, 0.625. I'm going to go 0.07. So that way that bit tip could actually fit beyond that. So I'm going to allow that to boundary offset. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a profile toolpath. And on that profile toolpath, if I do on the line, it's going to split the bit. So it's going to open up this cavity 1/8 of an inch more. If I use 1/8 of an inch bit, it's going to open the cavity up 1/8 of an inch more. I may or may not want that. I may or may not want that opening a little bit more so I can really see around all the details on the sides and stuff. So first things first, I need to know what my depth is, right? What my depth is. So I want to come down here and in my models or my material setup, my model thickness, right, is 0.611 inches thick. But my model Z plane, the bottom of that model, is an additional 0.25 inches deeper. So the model Z plane, 0.6389, that's my magic number. That's what my profile depth needs to be. That's the bottom of the model. So 0.6389, that model Z plane is my depth. So when I do my profile toolpath, 0.6839. Can you believe just in that really quick second, I forgot if the number's 6389. Holy cow. 6389. Let's try that again. 0.6389. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch end mill. And for this instance, I'm going to go on the line, right? Now, I could have done an 1/8 inch end mill on the inside of the line, right? I have a long enough bit, 1/8 inch bit, that I could do that. And it's just doing a profile cut and all. But there's a step over, right? There's a little bit of a step over stepping down. I want that to be cleared. So if I take my 1/8 of an inch bit on the line, or my if I did it on the inside the line, that would clear that up for sure. But if I do my 1/4 inch bit, it's going to open it up a little bit more for me. Good. I'm happy with that. And it's going to clear up that line on the inside too. So when I calculate this toolpath, what we should see occur is, and we'll kind of zoom in and we'll focus our attention here. If I preview that visible toolpath, it should mill that away, but it didn't mill down deep enough. Let me see where my depth is. 0.6389. 0.6389. Oh, got to do the math, Laney. Got to do the math, buddy Rowe. I am zeroing out on the machine bed. Okay. I'm zeroing out on the machine bed. So that 0.6389, let's go to the 3D model view. Let me show you what I'm referring to. On my job setup here, I'm on the machine bed. So my board is 1.5 inches thick. The top of my board, let's go to the 3D preview, is the 1.5 inch. The bottom of my board is 0, right? So that's 0. So if I'm coming down here and I'm hovering my mouse down here and it's saying 0.6389, that is the depth of cut. I got to subtract that number from the 0.150, right, to get my depth. So $1.50 minus 0.6389 equals 0.8611. Calculate. And then what I should see when I preview that visible toolpath is it cleans down to that level. So you got to remember, if I was working, if the material surface was my 0, then 0.6389 would have been the cut depth. But the bottom of the material is 0, so the top of my board is actually 1.5 inches. And when it's showing me the depth down in the bottom of the cut, that number is the depth of my model. It's the 0 plane of my model. My model's 0 plane is 0.6389, but I have to subtract that from the 1.5 inches to get the actual depth of cut to get to that, right? Because from 0 coming up, 0 at the bottom coming up, that plane right there where the mouse is 0.6389. But from here up here to the top of my board, that is 0.8611, right? All right. So what I should end up with, if I'm looking at this in the 3D view and everything, is, let's get into the top view here, is I should have this nice, clean outline around there and everything. And when that gets filled with epoxy resin, it's going to have a nice, from the top highest part of the model, it's going to have a nice, depth of resin above it, so it'll just look deep, really deep. It'll look good in there. Now that same steps, those 3 toolpaths, 3D rough, 3D finish, and the profile cut, those 3 things would apply to the whatever model I put in there. The only thing that would change or vary, which I have no control over, is the thickness of the model, depending on what it gets created at, the thickness of the model. And so that would change my pocket depth. Now, on that 3D finish, I did let it go over the edge by 0.07. I haven't recalculated that, or I recalculated that toolpath, but I haven't recarved it. So if we were to go in and look at this carving, I keep going back to my version 10 and 11 roots where I'm trying to move the board instead of this die up here in the corner. So on my, going over the edge and everything, if I run this, you can see the bit is going to be able to come out past that edge. If I preview that visible toolpath and all, by that 0.07, it's going to come out. We're going to see, I don't think it's going to affect my wall any. I've got plenty of room between my model and my wall. it shouldn't run into it by any means. But I'll know here in 2 seconds if it is. And the upper part did. You saw that back up. I don't know if you saw that back up, but it did. So I need to back that up just a little bit more. But it's hard to really tell in this 3D view with the wall in the way. But with the bit being able to travel over the edge, it really cleans up that edge. By going to the vector boundary, it stops the bit from going past that vector. And so if there's any nice curve detail going over the edges and all, my bit's really not going to do that. The vector's not going to let it by stopping. But if I let that bit go past the vector, then it'll roll over that edge to the bottom of the model. In this case, I'm not cutting through my material, so I'm not worried about that and everything. If my model was real close to the bottom of my material going over, I'd be a little worried about that or something like that. But in this case, I got plenty of meat. But by letting the bit go past by the diameter, a little bit more than the diameter of the bit, it rolls over that edge and really cleans up the edges really nicely and everything on that model. But because it is a tapered ball nose and everything, you can see ever so faintly right here, this line right there, it's showing up on the screen if you've got me maximized. That is where the top part of the bit hit and pushed that material back, right? So what we're going to do to just open that up just a little bit more, because it was a very small amount. I mean, just I mean, there's no real lip there. It's super small. But I don't want any part of my bit colliding with the wall or anything like that on the edge. So on the profile cut, I've got my bit cutting on the line, right? Now, when my bit is cutting on the line, it can't, I can't allow it, I can't create an allowance to let it go one way or the other, a little bit more, a little bit less, right? So I have a choice here. Number one, I just create an offset a little bit further out, just a few thousandths of an inch larger, create the toolpath on that new vector. Or two, I allow the bit to cut on the inside of the line, but then I use an allowance to shove the bit over just as much. And in this case, if I go on the inside of the line, 0.125 is half my bit. So that would be the same thing as the bit on the line, right? Like on the line, it'd be splitting the bit. But if I want the bit to go, and it would be a negative number, not a positive, negative 0.125, that's like riding right down the middle of the line with my bit. But if I want my bit to just come over a little bit more on that line, then I can increase this to, let's say, 0.1375. And now it's going to carve just a little bit off over that line, from where it would have been if it was on the line. You know what I mean? So if I calculate that, what you'll see is that where that lip is, that little line right there, that little distortion in color right there, when I preview the visible toolpath, that should all but disappear. No, the taper is actually further back. So it's actually down here. Down here. All right, let me back it up a little bit more. We were close. Let's go 0.14375, 1 7/16. Why do I even have that? Give me just a second here. 0.125 is my halfway point. 0.1375 only shoved it over just a little bit more. Let's go 0.18. There we go. Now, most important of all is if I move the bit over like that, does it clean up where it intentionally, that lower lip to begin with? Or does it leave a little bit left in there? The only way I'll know that is to reset the preview and preview the 3D rough cut once again. Sorry, I thought it was previewing. I thought I clicked the button. Preview the rough cut. Preview the finish cut. And that lip will be there. Okay. Of course, it's going to make me out to be a liar, but there is a lip there. It's that angle. There's that line right there, but it's not visibly showing. So number one, it cleared that lower level up from earlier, right? So that's taken care of. That's done. But I still need to, there's still an angle based on the taper of my bit here. And my flute's not, the flute's only 1 inch long, which is fine. But I want to bring that back out. So my profile cut should bring that back in and level that out. So everything, all is good. All right. So we got a nice clear surface, and that's exactly what I would want around the leopard as well. Okay. Now, I don't want to just be pouring epoxy, just to be pouring epoxy, just to be pouring epoxy. But if I'm going to do it, I want to do it all, right? I want everything to have epoxy in it in one thing or another, but I'd like to have some text. So it's where I'm going to turn to you all. Hopefully this whole time you've been thinking about what this text should say if there no, you haven't, because I didn't ask you to, right? But I have no idea what I want it to say or anything. And let's see. Let me see here. Let's do a play on words. Okay. So let's say that this was an office sign, right? You ever seen those office signs that have wisdom, success, and innovation and all these sayings, right? Right? Okay. Just one word. It's going to mean a couple things. So a little play on words. Leopard, fast, right? Speed. Godspeed is a wish of success, on any person, when partying, right? Godspeed, right? So just basically you're wishing them success on their journey as you depart, right? Kind of thing. Now, so in my mind, it's a wish of success, right? To a given person. It's also speed of the leopard, right? So Godspeed, Godspeed, all one word, right? So that could be something. What do y'all think? I don't know. It's something, right? We'll figure it out in the final file if there's something a little bit better. But that's what I'm going to have. That's going to be my little play on words, and that's going to kind of tie things in for me. So I would like that to have, now my leopard is going to be kind of right here and everything. And this other leopard is going to be kind of up in this corner, and it's going to be in this tree over here. So that's going to leave this down here where this is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my vectors for the model, and I'm going to move them and the model, and I'm going to move them up to kind of, remember I have a 1 inch frame around this too. So if I turn on the vectors, I need to make sure I'm within my frame, right? So down here is going to be the word, right? And it's not just going to be the word. We're going to have two levels. We're going to have two pours. I want a black background. So that's going to be one pour with that Ninja black. So it's going to be a pocket cut. And then I'm going to carve the text into that epoxy and do a second pour with a color. And I want it to be probably, to really tie it in, that orange, the same orange as the leopard. Probably. So what I need is I need a nice rectangle that's going to represent where the word's going to go. And that's going to also be my kind of my pocket. And again, my Leopard is not going to be as big as this model. Let me give myself a little bit of room. Yeah. It's going to be more like that size. And it's going to be more over here. And this can be slightly taller. Okay. Now, when I draw the text in version 12, I have two choices, text or text in a box. I'm going to use text in a box because that's what I have here. I got a box. We're getting close to being done. So stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. If you're asleep, wake up. We're coming along. And so in the text tool, if you're in version 11, it's just use the text in a box option. If you're in version 10, 9, 5, 6, whatever, text in a box option is the second one in. But if you're in version 12, they're tied together now. Just make sure you check off at the top text in a box. And so what that's going to do is that's going to restrict the text to that area. Now, I'm going to go all capitals. Okay. And again, and I'm not going to use that font by any means. But again, it's basically Godspeed is a word that is wishing success onto a person at your departing, when you're departing, Godspeed, success on your journey, success on your way. That's, what it means. And famously, that word made famous in The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sir Sean Connery. I don't know why I said Sean Connery that way, but Sir Sean Connery. The Nicolas Cage's character, Goodspeed, Godspeed, originated from that, and Sean Connery made it, explain to him what that meant. Okay. All right. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. All right. Let's see for the font. For the font, I would really like a font because it's all capital. So I want a font that looks good as an all capital option. And also a font that's not too complicated for this inlay, right? So and I say inlay, epoxy inlay, right? I don't want a lot of thin areas and stuff like that because again, I don't know. I don't know what's fragile, what's not fragile. It's going to be deep and all that stuff, and all that. So while that's a good looking font, it's not going to be the choice of the day. That's too weak. I want something that feels strong. Now, this particular font right here, when typed normal, it's still capital letters, but all the swishes and stuff go away. So if I back this up to where just the G is capital and I type in the normal ODSPEED, then my G will have a decorative look to it, and then the rest of the text is normal, but it's still all capitals, right? So it kind of that swirl and everything. So that's one option. So Black River bold, and then Royal Signage is the same way. Royal Signage is if I type a capital letter, it has a decorative look to it, and if the regular lowercase letters, they're capital as well, but they're normal. If I type them all on Royal Signage, if I type them all in capital letters, then they all have the decorative element to it, and it doesn't look good, right? But thinking about this and everything, I need it to fit. I need the text to fit, to make sense. And Royal Signage doesn't play good, but Black River Bold isn't bad. I'm not a fan of the G on Black River Bold, but hey, it is what it is. Now, I don't think I have any other fonts that have a decorative element to it that that doesn't have a thin spot and everything that I'd be a little bit worried about. So just a quick glance through the fonts. And again, this is where wordmark.it, wordmark.it, this is where it plays very well together and everything. Let me see just real quick. Let me go to the bottom of my list. Whoa, that was not the bottom list. Go to the bottom of my list. Royal Signage, we've already made that decision that it's not appropriate. Rockwell Condensed is a nice, bold look. Let's choose that. That one I would have to type in normal. All right, we're going to go with the Black River Bold. Old Alfie. Definitely does not fit. It's a cool font, but it's not for this particular theme. Old English is not for this particular theme. So Black River Bold it is. So let's go up to the B's. Get me back up to the B's. Lord of mercy. B's, B's, B's. Okay. Now on this, I want no margins. I want it to go right to the edge. No, I don't. That's a lie. The box is going to have epoxy in it as well. I want normal margins. I am going to, let me see what it looks like if I stretch this a little bit. Okay. Now, I like this font. It's nice and big and deep and all that stuff. I like it. I'm just not digging the G, right? So I'm going to fix the G. I'm going to convert this to curves. And for me, I'm just going to hold on, this might work. This might look okay. Hold on a second. We're going to go, hold on. This might work. Give me just a second. Node editing. Turn that to an arc. Take the scissors, trim that away, that, and that. I don't know, does that look stupid? Yeah, it might look stupid, all right? It looks like Pinocchio's total lie. All right, so that we won't do that one. I thought that might look good, but it doesn't. Maybe if it was at the bottom or something, but at the top it doesn't. Okay, so yeah, like Pinocchio was telling lie. All right, so we're just going to do a very simple node editing. We're going to just come right here, cut the vector, come right here, cut the vector, get rid of that little curve in tip, come in here and join with a smooth curve. I'll bring that curve down and everything. Give me just a moment. Come on now. Work with me. Work with me. Okay. I'll be happy with that. All right. So 2 Toolpaths, 1 pocket cut. I'm going to go, it doesn't need to be that deep because it's going to be filled with black, right? So I'll just go, what's good? 3/4 or not 3/4, but 1/4 inch or 3/16, right? Something like that. Let's go. We'll just go with 1/4. Pocket cut. 1/4 of an inch deep. 1/4 inch end mill. Pocket that out. Okay. Sorry, I just got distracted by the leopard. I don't know why it calculated as well too, but it did. Anyway, so this would be filled with the black epoxy. This particular pocket cut right here would be filled with black epoxy. And then the follow up. Now, here's the thing on this, right? This is, I'm epoxying, so it's a little bit of a change for me. And I want the nice sharp corners and everything, right? I want the nice sharp corners. I don't want the rounded edges and all that stuff and all. So I'm still going to use a V-bit to do this cut, but I'm not going to use a 60. I'm going to use more of a real narrow bit, 15, 22, that kind of thing. Is just a little bit narrower wall. And everything. So on this case, it's going to be a V-carved toolpath with that 22-degree V-bit, starting at 0, but in this case, for preview purposes, I'm starting at 1/4. And on this, I'm going to go down. I don't want to go down all the way through the black and into the wood and stuff like that. I'll just go down 3/16, right? From there and everything. So when it carves, and as a V-carved toolpath, it's only going to carve as deep as the bit will let it carve, and it's going to flatten out. So it might not, even go that 3/16. A flat depth is not a cut depth; it's a limit, and everything. So if I preview that visible toolpath, we should be able to get kind of like a visual of what that would look like. Now, definitely going to use a flat area clearance tool on that, which I forgot to put in there. And it's going to be an 1/8 inch end mill. So on that, the V-bit and an 1/8 inch end mill are going to work together. That 22 is going to give it a very narrow wall. And then the 1/8 inch end mill is going to do the flat depth, right? And everything. So it's going to, something like that. Now, you guys and girls may have worked with this stuff before and all that, but I mean, we could go insane with this, right? So we could actually go with another pour with like a white outline around this. So the black, a nice white outline, and then the orange, right? So just because, this will be the last thing, and we're going to say our goodbyes in a little bit, but I want to take Godspeed and I want to offset it outward. I want to offset it outward a 1/16 of an inch. So 0.0625. Select the new vectors. In this case, I do want to create the sharp corners. When I offset that outward, that vector right there is going to be a V-carve toolpath. It's going to start and get cut to the same depth after the black, right? So that'll be the tool that gets cut first, kind of thing. And then this one we probably won't be able to see this, but I have a trick for that. For the preview purposes, preview the visible toolpath. All that's going to do is that. So that's just going to make it wider. So I won't be able to show the that cut. Give me just a second. I can fix that. On that one, same. On this, we can give that a color of white. Oh, I hit the reset all button. All right, color of white. Color of white. I hit the set all, not the color of orange. Color of orange. Color of black. Now, when looking at this, if I turn off these toolpaths and everything, we don't get to see the orange. But for preview purposes only, I got you. So for preview purposes only, if I come in here and select this two vectors right here, and I come in and do a pocket toolpath, and I go 0.27, and I use a made-up bit that can actually fit in those lines, right? So I'm going to use a bit that is 0.02 inches in diameter, right? And it's going to be able to take a full 1/4 inch cut, blah, blah, blah. I should be able to calculate this toolpath. And because of that, I should be able to reset this preview, and I should be able to give this a color of white. And I should be able to take that, and preview that visible toolpath. And I should be able to see it kind of somewhat of a visual of what that would look like. Right? You know, just again, it's preview purposes, right? So that would be, I think, would look really sharp. What do you think? That's the question. Not what I think. What do you think? Now, if I take this cat here and I were to preview that. And if I were to give that color a black fill, and I were to give this color an orange fill, this color an orange fill, and this color an orange fill, then we should be able to see that. Now, I got something right here, right there, and right there happening, going on, and everything. And what that is a piece of this vector over here that got caught up. But when this toolpath got recalculated, right? When this toolpath got recalculated, it got recalculated on that vector right there, right? So when I open this up, if I come in here and turn that piece of trash off and that piece of trash off, and I recalculate that. Oh, one more piece of trash. Hold on. One more piece of trash. Hold on. I'll end up deleting those in just a second. But my V-carve, if I undo the last carving and then I preview that visible toolpath, it should, if all is right with the world, clean that up, right? So now, so far it's looking good. All right, and then of course we would have our big leopard. Now, just for preview purposes only, what the leopard would look like, I am just going to V-carve the leopard in place, okay? So we're going to take this model. You saw what the toolpaths were for the model. That's exactly would happen, right? But I need to see this as a completed project, as a completed whole project and everything. So we're going to trace this bitmap. Again, on the trace tool, it's going to be 75. Three default corner fit, preview, apply, and close. We can turn off the bitmap layer at that point. We can do a V-carve toolpath. This is going to be a model, so I'm just going to go with a V-carve toolpath for preview for like just black. We'll just go at black. 0 start depth. We'll limit the cut. A quarter of an inch is fine. 22-degree V-bit and an 1/8 inch end mill. Now, before I do that, let me make sure that I need this vector. Let me get him in the right spot. Oh, hold on. I was about to take my P with me. Okay, let me move him up and over. Not too far over, Landon. Come on now. About like that. All right, calculate. Probably going to have some overlapping vectors and all that stuff. I'm not going to even bother cleaning them up. This is just for preview purposes only. This is going to be a 3D model cut down in there. So we're going to just click continue anyway on that. So I would be able to pour the black of Godspeed and the orange pocket of the Tiger on day 1. Let that cure. And then I could come back and do the white carving of the text here, and I could do the 3D model cut as well too, you know, kind of thing. But and then I would come back and finish off the Godspeed with the, let's make this black for right now. Black. All right. Now, it's a little naked, right? This is going to be a 3D model. I want that I do want that 3. It's a beautiful V card, but I want that 3D element in there as well. But I mean, there, you know, we got a big space up here. I don't always have to fill every single space, right? You don't have to fill in every black, but all of this, this whole thing is going to get pocketed. The whole thing is going to get carved down 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch, right? And the whole thing. And then, so that way the frame, there's going to be a distinct 1.5 inch frame all the way around this with that 3/16 inch pocket, right? And if that pocket's going to be clear, that final pour is going to be that last clear epoxy fill, right? So it looks like you're looking deep in everything. But from there, I'm going to have a 3D model cut with a clear fill. I'm going to have this orange and black cut, and I'm going to have this black, orange, and white. But it's all going to be coated with a 3/16 inch clear level, right? So that I have that kind of distinct frame around there and all. So on my start depths where I have 0, start 0, there would be a pocket tool path that that does an initial pocket and everything down. And then everything else would have that start depth of whatever it is, whatever I decide, 1/8 inch or 3/16 start depth there, and then cut there, and it's going to be all in there. So the whole thing is going to have a clear fill. That's going to be the final thing, the whole thing. I think it's going to look awesome. I don't have to necessarily fill every single void or space or anything like that. I don't, it might, this leopard head might get centered up and down to kind of even it up instead of being down towards the bottom. But this is going to be a 3D model for sure. Now it could be an inlay too, epoxy inlay too. I would just create the black where the orange area. I could do a brown with the tree. I mean, I could really break this down into different, the tree brown with black detail, the leopard with the orange and the black detail. I mean, I could go crazy. I've seen what people can do with epoxy and multiple carves and all that stuff, just like the white around the letters and all. I mean, it could be so much, but I'd like to see this as a 3D. I've always loved that. I have a woman that makes beautiful coffee tables. When you look at the coffee tables, like you're looking straight down at them, it looks like you're looking at under the sea of whatever this model diorama is that she has and everything. It's just amazing, right? It just looks like it's just down in the deep, like Atlantis under the ocean kind of thing. And that's kind of the effect that I'm going here, right? So I want a 3D model element in there. And so that's why this leopard is going to be a 3D model. But that's going to be that. We're going to hit save because we have not saved any of this. So we're going to hit save as. I'm going to get that model made. I'll get the files done. I'll make the files available to everyone if anybody wants that. And of course, you can change anything that you want. Once you have the files, you can change the text. You can change anything. You can take something out, put something in if it's something you ever want to try in the future. But for me, this is going to be my first inlay project. Don't know if it's a good one. Don't know if it's a bad one. I think it'll be cool. I might go in and look and see what, I might think about, what could be, put in the background or what options I have to, maybe fill in something. I don't know. I don't think I really need to fill every single space, right? I think it looks, I just want it all to tie together in some way. some form of fashion, whether the tree vectors come into the black here. Again, this is not, sorry, that's going to be a model. Never mind. Disregard what I just said. I was about to say, like where the black ties in and I pour all the black at once, but ignore that. All right, everybody. So hopefully you thought that was interesting. I don't know. But again, I'm going to be using Speed Tools, and that's the actual brand name. I think Speed Tool makes it. But for the powders and everything, I'm going to use the eye candy pigment. I'm going to get the 8-piece kit or 10-pack kit, and the fire orange is what I'm kind of, going for. But I need to read and see how big these pouches are. 50 grams, right? I don't think it takes much to pigment the clear epoxy. But I got to do, this is the first time, so there's math involved. I got to figure out, how deep the pocket's going to be, how much volume that is, how much epoxy that's going to be to determine how much pigment I need to use, right? So there's a little bit of back-end thinking in all this. And whatever I come up with, I will make sure I make a README file for you, right? And all that, because I need to know how much orange I'm going to need to do that whole leopard head, and how much orange I'm going to need to do the word Godspeed, how much white. And on the white, they have two shades. They have what's called a shoji gray, and they have an icicle white. And if we were to look at this image, they have an icicle and a shoji. I'm not sure which one I'm going to choose yet. But yeah, I think it's going to be cool. So it's going to be the eye candy pigments. I'm going to give them a go. I'll let you know how it goes. And then for the actual epoxy itself, it's going to be the hold on a second. Yep, I had to find the right tab. It's going to be the deep pour epoxy resin, super clear 2.0, premium commercial grade liquid glass, 2 to 4 inch thick pour, made in the USA, right? So cool stuff, right? Awesome. All right, everybody, let's see what you have to say. Let's bring the boys and girls, if I didn't put them to sleep, if they're still with me. They might have dropped out. Let's see here. Yep, we lost a few. Yeah, there's going to be a border around it. Kool-Aid. There is going to be a border. And if I were to illustrate that, basically, I'll just go 0.15, 0.1875875, and the wood is probably going to end up being kind of a walnut maple. It's probably going to be we'll just stick with maple now. But on that toolpath, that pocket cut is going to mill away the entire surface, right? So there's going to be a distinct frame around it. And it's going to be poured with epoxy. It's probably going to be a 1/4 of an inch instead of 3/16. Let's go with a 1/4 on that. Calculate. And then in all of that, bear with me just a second. Stand by. It's almost there. Every tool path, the pocket cut, the Godspeed, the white boundary around the Godspeed, all that's going to have a start depth of whatever my first initial pocket depth is going to be. And so it's going, and then it's going to be filled flush with that clear resin and everything. So it's going to be like everything is under glass when it's done and all. So it's going to have that distinct frame outline around it and everything. And what I might do, Kool-Aid, what I might do is put a black outline around the entire thing with a resin. And then the clear. So there most likely there might even be a black frame on the inside that's under that clear glass, just to make the border pop a little bit. Yeah. So let's get that flipped back around. So that's, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'll probably think about that rectangle around Godspeed, see if I want to make a little bit of a change or something to it, give it a little bit of something, a little bit of balance, a little bit of finesse, so it's not so square and blocky. So you meant a V-carve theme border. Yeah. So we could do that where it has the angle in there as well too. And that would give me sharp corners and all. So yeah, definitely. I'm going to get the guys tonight. I'm going to talk with them about get me a model made. And then I've ordered the epoxy in. We shall see where we're at for this upcoming class. This might be something where we definitely circle. We will definitely be circling back to this at some point in time. All right, everybody. It's a late night, long night. We've been at it for 3 hours long here. When I get the models and files and everything done, I will make them available to each and every one of the exclusive SpindleTV members. And we'll see what we can do. All right. Well, listen, let me see. I lost one of the guys, but JR, it looks like he's with me a little bit. Let me just, JR, I'm gonna put you on the spot, get you up there and say goodbye to you. Hey, buddy. Let me turn your mute off there. But long night, long boring discussion and everything. But a lot of information. Hopefully it's useful, but we'll see how that goes for my first epoxy pour. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We lost Charlie. Charlie, if you're watching, sorry we missed you, buddy. But I think I lost him a while back ago. He's like, no, this is too much. But y'all have a wonderful night. JR, you have a wonderful night. And we will see you all next week. As far as my live public Thursday classes, probably going to have a class Thursday, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Don't know what the topic is. We'll just see how it goes and everything. But yes, so if we see you tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday. And keep an eye out for the community chat. Keep an eye out for the Facebook Messenger chat. I'll throw out messages when I have some files for you guys and girls. That's what I'm going to be working on all the next few days, is getting files out to y'all. So y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch you later. See ya. All right, let's end that stream. And JR.